Good morning and happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for making the time to watch this week's messaging mini class, where I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit of the history of the making of a tagline. So I'm going to talk through with you how I came up with Make Your Message Roar. I actually, the few times that I've shared this story, people have let me know how helpful it was for them to understand what goes into it, because I don't know about you, but sometimes you might see people talking online, maybe even in Facebook groups, asking for feedback on their tagline, and it seems like it should be like quick and easy, right? And I don't ever comment on people's taglines in isolation. I'm going to share with you at the end why. Hey, Lillian, so great to have you join me live. Thank you so much. So I thought it would be helpful if I talked through the process of what it takes to make to create your tagline, and one that really nails it. And I'm going to let you know, how do you know if you've nailed it? All right. So before we dive in, let me introduce myself if you don't already know me or know me well. My name is Karie Price. I'm a brand messaging coach helping ambitious women business owners find and own the words to stand out, be heard, and make your message roar. And today we're going to be talking about the making of that tagline, Make Your Message Roar. If you've seen me, heard from me, seen any of my posts, you know that that is my tagline, or what I call a brand position. And I want to share with you a little bit of the background of how that came to be. Hey, Chris, thank you so much for joining me live. I am so glad you're here. I'm just going to pop over into my group really quick, make sure I've got that up in case folks are watching from inside my group, which is the Messaging Den. I've got this video shared over there. If you think that anyone else that you know could benefit from this topic, please share this video as well. All right, you guys know I always have my notes. I don't want to miss anything, so I'm going to bring those up and jump right in. So let's start by level setting a little bit about what a tagline is, or like I mentioned, what I call your brand position. This is the 3 to 5 word statement that you want to own. It's the culmination, the boiling down, the succinct communication of your message and what you want to stick in people's minds. And it is important that it's short. I say 3 to 5 words because that really is important. And it's even better if you can own one word. Okay, so as you're thinking through your overall message, you'll go through a process to figure out what that is. Your tagline, your brand position needs to embody that. Hey, Zany, is that how you say that? Is it Zany or Zanny? Can you tell me? And hey, good morning. Thank you so much for joining me live. I'm so glad you're here. So your tagline, right? The 3 to 5 words. If you can own one word, what's the thing that you want people to remember about you? So your tagline really is the boiling down, the most succinct version of your message. So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page there, all right? So let me talk to you a little bit about how Make Your Message Roar was born. It's Ani. Oh, that's gorgeous. Thank you so much for helping me pronounce that correctly. That's beautiful. All right. So how was Make Your Message Roar born? And I used that word because this really is like birthing. I'm not a mom, so I don't really know what it's like to birth a baby, but like, it's like birthing a baby. You know how it's sort of similar. You see maybe a band or a singer that all of a sudden they're like this overnight sensation, and it looks like that just happened overnight. Chances are it did not. There was a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes to look like what was an instant overnight sensation. Okay, so in order for you to really understand how I got to Make Your Message Roar, I need to share a little bit with you about kind of how I got to where I am in my business. Hey, Corinne, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so 15 years ago, my husband and I, he's a graphic designer, started our first full service branding agency. Now, what was I doing before that? I was a business analyst. And what I excelled at as a business analyst is knowing how to go into a new business in an industry maybe I know nothing about, ask the right questions to uncover the deep root underlying problems, not the surface problem that they think that they have, and then help them find the right solutions to meet those problems. And I'd come home and I would share my experiences with my husband. I'd talk about the processes that I would go through, the activities, the questions that I would ask. And my husband said, man, my clients need that too. I mean, generally in the branding space, they go through a brand discovery process to learn about their clients, but I took it to a whole different level because that comes from my business analyst background. So we created our first full service branding agency and we fine-tuned that process and we developed messaging for clients, right? The full service, done for you brand development, messaging and visuals, and then implemented and managed those brands. And at the time, so guys, 15 years ago, no social media, right? So marketing was a little bit different, but a full service agency, let's be honest, the price point is prohibitive, cost prohibitive for the small business owner, right? We actually created what would now be considered a group program. We called it a workshop to help small businesses get the benefit that we were seeing our bigger clients getting with their messaging in place. And it didn't take off. And one of our advisors said to us, really great concept. I think you're ahead of your time though. Like people just don't embrace that model. Okay, fine. So we continued to do done for you full service brand development. So I've worked in and out of agencies back and forth as a business analyst over the last 15 years. And a couple of years ago, I knew it was time. I wanted to get back into full-time business ownership and serving more business owners, smaller business owners, women business owners. Now that doesn't mean I don't work with men. But here's what I thought about. Who do I want to get up and just love working with every day? And how can I best be of service to them? And so I knew that's who I wanted to talk to. And remember 15 years ago, we didn't have social media. We do now. We have so many social media platforms now. And that means it's easier than ever to start a business and more competition than ever, right? Competition's not a bad thing, by the way. You guys are going to hear me say that all the time. Competition just means that there is a market for what you do. There is a need for what you do. It is your job to stand out and help clients choose you over anybody else. But competition is not a bad thing. It means there is a market. Okay, so I knew I wanted to support more women business owners. I'm a woman. Hello. I want to empower more women. I was raised to be independent, strong, take care of myself. I'm happily married, but I was raised to never need to be married, right? To know how to take care of myself, fend for myself, earn my own money. And whether that was as a business owner or in a corporate career, I always had the confidence to know I could do that. On the business side, I see so many women who have something really amazing and brilliant to bring to the world, and they just don't know how to say it. They don't know how to put the words around it to get their message heard so that people are attracted to them and they can actually build businesses to survive the abysmal failure rates for small business. If you guys have looked at any of the statistics or heard any of that, conservatively, 50% of businesses don't survive 5 years. I've heard numbers as high as 98% don't survive 10. So the failure rate is really high. And I knew I wanted to help more women be successful running their successful money-making businesses, which means they have to be able to attract more clients to them. And so as I thought about, wow, okay, social media, blessing and a curse, right? Easy to get yourself out there, harder to stand out. So I started to work through getting really clear on who it is I serve, what their challenges and problems were, so that I could make sure that my message resonated with those people and I attracted those people to me. Now, that process takes a while. Like I said, it seems like things like just come to you overnight. Here's actually how this played out for me though. And I alluded to this, if you're on my email list, I alluded to this. Do things just come to me in the shower? Yes, but as one small piece of the overall process. So I knew I wanted to help more women stand out in the market. And here's what I was envisioning. Social media is like being in a room with, let's just say thousands, but really like millions of people, right? And all these people, it's like a sea of people. And can you imagine, picture this in your head, like all these people are talking and it's just this like murmur, like low rumble, like you don't hear anything. You just hear this like rumble, 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 murmur, 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 like of all the noise, right? But nobody hears anybody. And so then I pictured like, well, how do I help women rise up above that? How do I help you stand out from all that noise? And I imagined like, okay, is it that I help them step up to the mic in their business, right? And it's amplified. And I want you to be loud. I want you to be heard. And I was like, okay, that's like the feeling that I'm after. But there wasn't anything in there that I just felt like I could hang on to, right? That I could really wrap my own message around and help empower women and get them behind it, right? This is where the shower moment comes into play. So I have had at the time been working on that, no lie, 2 months. Going through the process of getting really clear on who I'm talking to, what is it I want to do for them, my own focus and niche. I could do a lot of things. Is it a full service agency again? Is it a coaching practice? Is it, what is it? 2 months of getting really clear on that. All of this then starts cooking in my subconscious, right? And I tell all my clients, by the way, always keep a notebook handy. And here's one right here. I'll close it because it's got my notes in it. Always keep a notebook handy on my desk, in my purse, next to my bed. I always have a notebook because you never know when you're going to get the inspiration. So the inspiration did strike in the shower like this. Okay, so by the way, I love a long hot shower. When we built this house, we got a tankless hot water system because it's like never ending hot water. That's a good and bad thing, but I just love a hot shower. It's kind of meditative for me. So I'm in the shower and I'm just got this picture in my head, right? That picture I just explained to you. It's this room full of people, all this noise, like it's murmuring and murmuring. And how do I help them stand out? And man, business is a jungle. Man, I just want you to be loud. I want your voice to reverberate. I want you to roar. And I stopped and I opened my eyes and I was like, wait a minute. I want you to roar. That was just a piece of how I got to make your message roar, because that was like, oh, now I have the inspiration. Then I spent the next 2 to 3 weeks knowing like what's behind all of that. I want you to roar. I mean, one of my kitty buddies, I have cats. I personally appealed to that, but what really resonated for me was the power, the strength, the ownership of roaring, right? So I knew I wanted to embrace that in my message. And I wanted to help you make your message roar. So here's where it goes to one step deeper. Make your message roar by itself is strong, right? I mean, you probably get that feeling. You're like, I want to roar. I want to be strong. I want to be loud. I want to be heard. But I took it even further and I looked at everything in my message, everything about my business and what I do and what I believe a message does for you and what it takes to have a strong message that really stands out in the market. And I started to massage that message and I thought to myself, what are 4 words I could put behind the roar that would embody the things that I believe in? And I worked really hard at this. What I have now was not my first incarnation of it, and it probably wasn't even my third. But when I was able to really boil my message down and what is it that I help people do, how do I help your message really stand out? What's that process? You first have to make sure your message is relatable. And there's a whole bunch that goes into that. Really understanding your ideal client. So much more than the ideal client avatar, by the way. Just saying. You really have to understand your ideal client, what they care about, what you do for them, what makes you special. Everything that's going to make your message relatable. Then you have to find all your one-of-a-kind elements to your message. What are the words that you're going to use, from your brand vocabulary to your tagline and your brand position to your elevator speech, or what I call your impactful introduction, your one-of-a-kind way of speaking about what you do and showing up in the market. Because again, you guys, there is competition and that's okay, but you better be speaking about what you do differently than anybody else. Otherwise, you drop back down into that murmuring muck and you sound like everybody else and you're not remembered. Nobody remembers you over the other person that does it. Worst case, you're actually advertising for the competition because they're owning a message that you're copying. And I don't mean copying like in a bad, malicious way, but if you're using the same message, you may even just be promoting for the other guy, right? So you've got to develop all of the one-of-a-kind elements of your message. And then you need to make sure your message is actionable. How do you actually use it to be effective in all of your marketing, no matter what marketing technique you're using, no matter what program you're in and what other coaches you're working with? I'm in multiple programs. I've worked with multiple coaches. I've checked out multiple coaches and programs. They all, especially the ones like these are marketing implementation, right? They help you attract more clients. They help you get out there. They all tell you the most important first step is your marketing message, but most of them stop at the ideal client avatar, which isn't enough. That's where they stop. But they all tell you that's important. No matter what marketing technique you're using, your message that you're communicating as you use that technique is what is going to give you the results, right? Even Amy Porterfield, she's got a few programs and I follow her. Love her, by the way. Recently, she did a launch for List Builders Lab. And in one of the emails that she sent out, promoting it, she even said, if you are not clear in your message, you are not ready for this program. Okay, but you need to know how to make it actionable. You need to know how to develop all the elements of your message and then know how to use them in any marketing technique that you use. And then, okay, so that's A. Oh, there's my other cat. That's A. Then you need to make sure your message is reliable. The final R. So relatable, one of a kind, actionable, and reliable. What does it mean to have a reliable message? It means that you are showing up consistently, regularly, so people know where to find you, whether you have a group or a page, whatever social media platform, your email, whatever it is you're doing. It's about consistency, but it's about being reliable in your message, consistent in your message as the expert that you are. I don't talk in my business profiles. I don't talk about things other than my area of expertise, right? If it's not related to messaging, by the way, I can turn almost anything into a messaging lesson. But if it's not, I don't talk about it because I don't want to create confusion for people. In fact, here's a funny story. Somebody who does know me well and who does know that I am a brand messaging coach and that's my area of expertise, saw one of my posts late at night. She was tired and she scanned the image and thought it said marriage instead of message. And she commented on there and she's like, whoa, I just stopped and thought, when did Karie change and shift her focus to marriage and not messaging? And I didn't, because she knows I always show up about message. I don't talk about other things. Now, I have personal interests in other things, and I might belong to other groups or even on my personal profile, I'll talk about that stuff. But if you're following me here on this page or you're in my group or you see me on any of my professional platforms, it will always be as a brand messaging coach because I don't want to create confusion. Confused people don't buy. So as I looked and I found these 4 words for make your message roar, and I found the right 4 words. I think the R's at one point I had them backwards, But when I thought about everything that I do, the process that I take my clients through to find their strongest, most authentic, one-of-a-kind message, this is actually the process that I go through with each of my clients. So when you really understand your business and you understand that your message is strategic, it's a strategic part of your business. It's not just a fun, catchy tagline. You can make it work for you in just the strongest of possible ways. And how do I know that I've nailed it now? Because I'm going to go back to my notes and let's make sure I didn't miss anything. How do I know that I've nailed the message? I've had people want to know how to work with me out of nothing more than my introduction. I've gotten a VIP level client who did a Google search looking for a brand messaging coach, checked out a couple of my videos, booked a call with me, and in less than 20 minutes, they actually knew based on my videos that I was the person that they wanted to work with because my message was so clear and so focused, spoke to them, and that's what they wanted. I can show up in a new Facebook group, and in just a couple days, posting once a day, I start getting tagged as an expert. People know exactly that I help you make your message roar. It sticks. It's fast. That's how I know I've nailed my message. And by the way, it was really hard for me to tell you this story without already using these words. Because when you really hone in on your message, and that's your one-of-a-kind way of speaking about something, it's really hard not to use those words. I have a really hard time now speaking about developing your message and what it takes and the process that you go through without talking about making your message roar. That it's important to be relatable. You need to be one of a kind. That you need your message to be actionable so you can really use it. And that you need to reliably use that message in all of your marketing and show up as the expert that you are. That is how I know I've nailed my message. I'm going to catch up on some of the comments, and then I've got one more bonus tip. Well, one more reason how I know that I've nailed my marketing message. Okay. So, Lori, hi from St. Pete. Don't worry about being late. Whatever you missed, you can catch the replay here as soon as I jump off. Hey, Linda, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining me. Linda says, I've done multiple business coaching programs too, but Karie is different. I did Karie's messaging mastery program and it delivers. Mwah. Thank you so much, Lisa. I know my ideal client now. I have a message that works, and now I have a business booking new clients every month. Thank you so much for sharing that, Lisa. Yeah, you were a rock star working through that program, and your confidence has skyrocketed, and I know you're attracting more clients more easily after working on your message. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so you guys want to know like one other way that I know I've nailed my message? So, and I'm going to grab a sip of tea. You guys know I always have a cup of tea. Oh, and Linda, thank you so much. She says, I second Lisa's words. Thank you. So yeah, one, I get wonderful feedback from clients like Lisa. I've got a client, we just finished working through her message, and she, about 2/3 of the way through, she's like, oh my God, I can't wait to go rewrite my sales page, and I don't even like to write because it just makes it easier. Like you have the words, you know what to say, you know how to say it, like all your stuff is just easier. Okay, but you guys, here's the bonus way I know that I've nailed it. And only a few people know this so far, so you guys are getting privy to this. So when you have a brand position or a tagline, that's something you really can own in the market, that's my goal. My goal is to help you find the words you can own in the market. And what does it mean to own it? Well, one, it's the way that you show up and people recognize you. Like that's the most important thing. Like if you heard make your message roar, hopefully you think of me, right? Like that sticks. And anytime you see me, you're going to see or hear me talk about making your message roar or an element of what it takes to make your message roar. To truly be one of a kind though, and you want to legally own it. Now here's my caveat. I am not an attorney, so please consult with an attorney. If you get to the point where you know this is the message that you've nailed and you want to legally protect it so that no one else can use it, you might want to consider trademarking it. Now, inside my program, I also talk to you, at least here in the United States, because that's where I live. I give you some tips for how to get started, but really, honestly, I do recommend working with an attorney. And it's a long process. It takes 7 to 8 months. Oh, might blow out. But look, you guys, sorry, I've covered my address. Make Your Message Roar is now legally registered. I'm federally protected, what that means. So right now you see Make Your Message Roar has the TM. That means it was my intent to protect that, intent to trademark it. That's trademarked to my business. But to get it legally protected means that now if other people use that, I can make them stop. Right? And I have the federal government saying that I own this in my class in branding services, like the whole list of class. And now I can use that little circle R. I'm a fan of R's. I have 2 R's. I'm a big fan of R's. So I'm super excited about that. I just got the official notice a couple days ago, and I haven't quite figured out how I want to celebrate that. I do think that part of the celebration is going to be inside my Facebook group, the Messaging Den. I think I'm going to do like a bonus Q&A coaching session sometime here in the next couple weeks. I know there's been a lot of new people joining the group, and there's a lot of questions about getting started with your message. So I think I'm going to do a bonus just open Q&A coaching session. So if you have questions about message, how to create your message or your messaging, just be sure to join my program, and I'll be announcing, or join my group, because I'll be announcing the date for that coming up soon to get your questions answered. But yeah, you guys, I know I'm a little not as, when I jumped up and down opening the envelope when it came from my lawyer's office. I had a big envelope. My husband's like, hey, is it a bill? I'm like, no, they email me the bill. So I know it's not the bill, but it was my official trademark letter. But those are the ways that you know you've nailed it. You've got people who are like, oh my God, I want to work with you because what you say is relatable to me. You say it in a one-of-a-kind way that's truly actionable in everything you talk about in all of your marketing, and that allows you to reliably show up as an expert. So if you paid attention to that story, it took me 2 to 3 months to really nail Make Your Message Roar, and to start just knowing that I had the full framework for that, for everything I believe about message and what it does for you. It helps you roar. It helps you stand out, helps you be heard, get out of that murmuring muck. So it's not surprising to hear that the process that I coach my clients through takes 2 to 3 months. It had for me too, and I do this for a living, right? It still took me 2 to 3 months because it is a process. It does take time. You might get the epiphany in the shower sooner. It might take you a little bit longer to nail the right thing, and it is an evolving process. Even though I feel very confident, so confident I invested time and money in getting it trademarked, but I feel very confident in Make Your Message Roar. All of my messaging elements around that I tweak them and shift, and I'm starting to make tweaks in how I talk to my ideal client. I am better understanding my own ideal client and speaking to them, attracting more of the right people to me. So it is not a once and done process. It's a process, though, that you can follow and get to that solid foundation, and then continue to tweak it and evolve it, and it gets better and better. Hey, Lucia. Yes, get out of the murmuring mud, the murmuring muck. Like, it's all these people, right? You're down here. Nobody hears you. So we talked about that a little bit earlier in the full story. And hey, Valerie, so good to see you. Valerie says, I worked with Karie, and thanks to her, I finally nailed my message and brand. Thank you for sharing that, Valerie. Yeah, you too have just knocked it out of the park with your new message, and everything you're producing now is so much stronger, and I hope is attracting a whole lot more clients to you. This is what it does for you guys. So that's the story of the making of a tagline. And if you don't have that yet in your business, and let me just say this, even if you're already in another program that's teaching you a marketing technique, I hear this a lot. I've invested in this program. I see all the techniques. I'm doing all the things I'm being told and I'm not getting the results that I see other people getting. It might be your message. That's the problem. Because like I shared earlier, every program I have been in or checked out, and I've been in a few, one of the very first foundational steps they tell you is it's important to be clear on your marketing message, but they just don't dive deep enough on that. So if that is something that you've been struggling with and you're not seeing the results in any of your marketing, it might be because of your message. If you've hired a copywriter or a graphic designer and you didn't like the results that they gave back to you because it didn't feel right, it might be because of your message. What did you give them? Did you give them all of the elements of your message that they could bring to life for you? If the answer is no, you don't have that. You don't have the tagline that you've nailed. You don't have the message that you can confidently show up with and implement in any marketing technique. I am opening up the next round of my program, Messaging Mastery, the Foundation, in December, and I'll have a masterclass webinar to kick that off. But there are people who've been following me for months, some as long as a year, that now might be the time for them. And they're on a waiting list that I'm going to open up early access to them starting this Friday, happens to be Black Friday, with a special deal that won't be available anywhere else. An extended payment plan, a discount on some of my support options, because there's different levels of support depending on how much access and support you want from me. And some bonuses that won't be available anywhere else except the waiting list. So if you at least just want to check it out, no obligation to enroll, but if you want an opportunity to at least know what that deal is and see if it's the right time for you to start working on your message, then I invite you just to join the waiting list. You can go to karieprice.com/waitlist and then watch your email for Friday morning. This is really the last public announcement I'm making for the waiting list. Only the people on the waiting list are going to get that information, and only via email on Friday. So sign up for the waiting list if you want to get that information and have an opportunity to just see if that's something that is the right thing for you right now. If not, or you need more information, totally fine. I'm going to have some masterclass webinars that I'm going to offer in December that breaks down a little bit more the 7 foundational elements that you need in your message and why they give you a competitive advantage in the market. And you'll have an opportunity to participate in that and check out the program later. It just won't have the deals that I'm offering for the Black Friday early access deal. That's the only difference. Okay, so you can wait for that. Okay. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to get caught up on comments here really quick. Oh, Lori, yeah, I'm having a roar party. Yeah. So excited to be like my husband thinks I'm funny. He's in the industry, so at least he understands. He's a graphic designer and a branding guy. But when I got the envelope, I literally was jumping down. I was like, is this my R? Is this my R? Like literally, I've been waiting 7 months for the R. So yes, we will have an R party, a roar party inside the messaging den sometime over the next couple weeks. I got to figure out everything I want to include in that so you guys can celebrate with me. So if you're not already in my group, please be sure to do that. Just go to themessagingden.com or search for the Messaging Den right here on Facebook and come on in there and celebrate with us. Come get some extra support. Let me know where you're struggling with your message so that I can create future mini courses or mini classes even like this to share a little bit about the process to help you get unstuck in your message, because I do want you to make your message roar. I don't want you to blend in anymore. I want you to know that you can get your message heard in front of your ideal clients so that you can be successful in business and beat all of the awful statistics for businesses that fail. I want to help you do that. And I really do believe messaging is a critical component to your success. So I look forward to either seeing you inside my program or at the very least inside my Facebook group and getting to know you and how I can support you. And for those of you in the US, I want to wish you an amazingly happy Thanksgiving. And if you're not in the US, I wish you an amazingly happy rest of your week. And I will see you guys next week. Have a great day. Bye.